her auto combo, 5AA. So this is a standing low. Also jump cancel on block. If you input it quickly after her 5A, it is a tight string, cannot interrupt it. -2 on block as well, so you get kind of the same like tick throw situation as you do off her 5A. The nice thing about this particular string is you can delay cancel into the low kick. So it's also good for like frame trapping people. And because it's a standing low, if anyone tries to up back or any general movement really that requires you to stand, like let's say rolling, you will hit them. And this move, as a starter, if only this second hit connects, it is one of her best starters. It has the same duration as her highest damage starters, so if you hit someone with this, convert to a big combo if you can. So yeah, great move. You'll be seeing a lot of this. One neat trick you can do off this attack, if the opponent is crouching, which they usually will be because of the nature of the move, it's a low after all. The little dash momentum, you can cross them up. You can, so a lot of attacks in this game are short hop cancelable. Pretty much everything Naoto has, minus this normal short hop cancelable on the ground. So you can short hop cancel this and cross them up. Really cool trick, catches people, you know, who are kind of sleeping on Naoto. You can just short hop, air turn JC, and you can get a combo off that. So really cool stuff. Moving on, I'm going to talk about the third hit of her auto combo, which is this little overhead kick thing. When I say overhead kick thing, it's not that it's an overhead. You can block this high or low, as you see the dummy just crouch blocking it, no problem. But it looks a little like her AOA. Just like this entire string has, you can essentially delay cancel any hit of this, so it's really good for frame traps and whatnot. This move is -3 on block, so you can again tick throw off this, but this move, if your opponent is aware of your string options, they'll know you're done here. Like, the only thing you can do is special cancel and hop cancel. So if you're not hop canceling, you're really not going to be able to continue pressure, because this is extremely mashable. Probably like safe way to get out of this would be something like that. Create space, force the opponent away from you, but you're definitely at disadvantage there regardless. So you're generally, I don't advise you using this for pressure, but if you accidentally chain into it, it's no big deal. You should be fine. Just know your options, which is mainly just, you know, special cancel. You can do that. It's not a bad idea, but avoid using it in pressure. Even if you do counter hit someone with this move, as a combo starter, it's not great. You're already adding on quite a bit of duration, and it's roughly the same as if you started with the 5A. So try to avoid going into that. If it happens accidentally, just be ready to special cancel into something like that, or just like get away. Now I'm going to switch to Shadow Naoto for this section, because I'm going to talk about her auto combo. Now, all Shadow characters in this game, aside from the recently added characters like Yukari, Junpei, Ken, those kinds of characters, their shadows have the same auto combo, but Naoto has her old auto combo from vanilla Persona. So hers is, her 5AA, well, 5AA is this attack right here. It is a mid as well. -1 on block, so it's really good for tick throw situations. It has the same ability as regular Naoto's 5AA, which is you can delay cancel this quite a bit, catches people mashing, and up backing, because its hitbox is pretty high up. Really good attack. You have tons of options. It's also jump cancel on block, so you can do the same kind of cool stuff. Also short hop cancelable. Really good move. As a combo starter, this one is again phenomenal, just like regular Naoto's. Get big damage off this. You'll also see this attack used, like suppose I caught someone jumping, right? So you can use this attack to convert better off air attacks. If you tried this with regular Naoto, not so good. Shadows is pretty good for that. Kind of catch people more cleanly. So that's a significant difference between the two. So let's set them back on the ground and blocking. So now I'm going to talk about Shadow Naoto's third hit of her auto combo, 5AAA. This attack is terrible on block. You do not want to use this move in pressure ever. A lot of times you will just get this accidentally, just trying to do stuff like this, and you accidentally just overmashed. It's incredibly punishable. This move is minus 34 on block, so your opponent can hit you with... Your opponent can actually just instant kill you for doing this, if their instant kill is quick. But I would not advise you to ever do this move. Like, you can cancel into a gun stance on the later frames, but it still does not make this attack very safe at all. As a combo starter, it is, again, very bad. In fact, it's probably worse than regular Naoto's 5AA. The only merit that this attack really has on block is you can OMC it, which is one more cancel, and you can do like a cute air dash mix-up. That's just to salvage yourself. And if you're Shadow Naoto, you have so many better things to be spending your meter on, so don't do it. The only time you want to use this attack is on hit. Converting on hit is great because you get a safe jump setup off this. And because auto combos give you a meter gain bonus, you get a lot of meter, which is great for Shadow Naoto. She loves meter. So, yes. Keep that in mind when you're using Shadow Naoto as opposed to regular Naoto. Okay, so I'm jumping back to regular Naoto because from here on out, pretty much everything I say about one Naoto will apply to the other. So I'm going to talk about both Naoto's 5B. This move is pretty good, has pretty nice range, right around there. Not bad for a 5B, but probably on the smaller side compared to certain characters. Minus 5 on block, so you can kind of, if the opponent's respecting, because you have a ton of options off of 5B on block. You have that, you have the short hop cancel, you have like a 2B whiff to like catch them, kind of like if they don't react to the 2B whiff in time and try whiff punish you, like you can hit a button to potentially stuff whatever attack they're gonna do. The biggest weakness of this attack in this version, because before, this is a new property they introduced in this game, which they assign certain like attributes. Like every move in this game has a set attribute, but they introduced this new attribute called chest attribute. Now, what chest attribute is essentially a set attribute that specifies whether an attack can be like kind of ducked under, low profiled, or rather, in this case, moves that have chest invul will invul through this attack. So, for example, most sweeps in this game, aside from kanji, have chest invul to them. So I will show what happens when a sweep interacts with her 5B. Alright, that was probably not the best example. Let's try it again. Okay, so there we go. That was a good example. So as you saw, my 5B was pretty much out there. Now, it probably looked like I was spaced a little too far away, but the 5B would have hit from that range, but the sweep just ducked under. Sweep just goes under and hits her. And that goes for pretty much any character sweep. that is one of the weaknesses of using this move in neutral in kind of like a poking situation. If your opponent calls out your 5B with a sweep, you will lose. So you need to be more mindful of how you use this attack. So that's something to keep in mind for sure. So be careful with that. Aside from that, like, you can't really do, like, you can't jump cancel some block. Like, you can short hop cancel. You have special cancels and whatnot. Oh, and she has dash cancel. Now, this dash cancel is -7, and it's punishable, to say the least. So I will demonstrate that. So I'm going to record S.Naoto dash canceling and blocking. I was holding block throughout the duration of the dash. Now let's see if I can punish it. Oops, I was a little slow. A little slow again. Damn. There we go. So any move that's 7 frames or faster can catch S.Naoto for trying to dash cancel if they react to that situation and mash. That's the reason why you want to only use that dash cancel against certain characters that have slow enough 5As to allow you to do that. So most of this cast can actually just mash you out of that. So I would kind of avoid ever using 5B dash cancel. S.Naoto has a much safer dash cancel that she could be using, which we'll talk about later. So I'm going to continue on going down the list now, and her next normal that comes up on the Dust Loop wiki is her 2A. I know it seems a little backwards to talk about 2A now, but we'll talk about it. Basically, this is S.Naoto's main low. It's chainable into it itself, chainable into like 5A and whatnot. Pretty good for pressure. It's -3 on block, so tick throw setups are a possibility, but you need to be careful. People can just mash you out of things like this, so it takes conditioning to run it. As a combo starter, her 5A is probably one of her worst starters. You should not expect any really large combos, large extended combos off this, but you still get decent damage. Special cancelable, you know, hop cancelable, all the good stuff, just not jump cancelable. Not really much else to say about this move, aside from like, oh yeah, it's also 7 frame startup. 1 frame slower than her 5A. So this is your second fastest grounded normal. The only merit to this attack for like mashing out of situations versus this attack is S.Naoto's pretty low to the ground, so you can kind of duck under certain things. Range to this attack is inferior to 5A, really. Or roughly the same, is it? Oh, wow. I guess their 2A is actually a little longer. That's weird. Anyway. You have to kind of make a conscious decision on which one of these normals you want to like try to mash out with. It's up to you, but this and this have their purposes. They have their time and places to be used. Okay, so next thing I will talk about would be P4U2. This attack is one of S.Naoto's most buffed attacks, actually, going from vanilla till now. Used to be 11 frame startup, it's now 8 frame startup, so big speed boost right there. It's 3 frame difference now. This move is interesting because, like most 2Bs in this game, it's obviously air unblockable. So what this means is, I'm going to jump and block. And that yellow exclamation point means you got air unblockable. So this attack can catch people. If they've used up all their air options or they're just trying to jump in on you, swat them out of the air with that. This move has head invulnerability. So what this means is most jump in attacks in this game have the attribute of head to them. So that means that this move carries invulnerability against those attacks. And the window for how long the invulnerability lasts is kind of short. It's a 3-frame window from frames 6 to 8. So basically a little bit before her 2B actually becomes active and can physically hit the opponent is when that invul kicks in. And then on the very first frame that it'll actually hit. So because this move's invulnerability kicks in really early, it's really good as a reactionary anti-air, actually. Its hitbox is pretty great as well. I will demonstrate this by using S.Naoto's JC. So that clash, that beat it. Look how early I'm hitting it. Like, it's pretty good. And it hits even behind her. Well, I turned around for that. There we go. So yeah, hitbox is kind of like all around Naoto. If I can just stop Naoto from auto-correcting. Yeah, so it just hits behind her as well. Cool thing to note. Definitely want to use this for most anti-air situations. As far as combo starters go, pretty good actually. It's a good starter. Like, if I had to categorize things as bad starters, good starters, and best starters, this falls under the good starter category. You can get like full extended combos. They won't do maximum amounts of damage just by proration value, like not being the optimal one, but nonetheless, you'll get like 3 to 4k meterless depending on how you hit it. So great move, don't neglect it. Oh, and this like has almost no recovery to it. It's like only 21 frames. For as far as 2Bs go, it's not bad. Pretty quick compared to a lot of attacks. So moving along, talk about her JA now. This move has a pretty great hitbox. It has a great hitbox downward. It has like a cross of hitbox as well. Look at that. It's mainly like you want to use it for like, you know, chasing people in the air. So like this is a good tactic to use, and then like if they're really high, you can like air and blockable them. If I can get it. A little tricky to get this. Let me try in the corner. Might be a little easier. Oops. They'll probably have to be higher, but anyway, that's a viable tactic to do to people. This attack is really fast, 6 frame startup, as fast as her 5A, and it's a lot faster than most aerial attacks actually. Really great. You can cancel this into a whiff air grab. Now, this is for like kind of more higher level mix-ups, like take that for example. Like usually people will expect something like this. You can run something like that instead, or it kind of just gives the illusion that you're like, let's say you did 3 Js instead of the JJB thing. It just gives people the illusion that you did another JA when you really didn't. So it's just a neat little way to kind of like throw people off mix-up wise. So really cool nonetheless. Let's see. Carrying on. Talk about. Oh, well, this move in general is not a good combo starter, so I would not recommend really. Would not recommend trying to do large combos off it should it connect. You know, just settle with something quick, easy, and just kind of like get out of there, or like set up Oki if you can. If you can convert to a knockdown, of course. One thing that this attack does enable you to do is gives you fuzzy guard setup. So as you saw, that was a blue exclamation point. Whenever you get hit by, whenever a blue exclamation point occurs, like shows, means you got hit by an overhead. So this means is there's a thing called F-shiki in Japanese, which is essentially a setup where you put the opponent in block stun and it's a significant amount of block stun that your animation stays in like a standing position. So even though I'm trying to transition to a crouching block, because like most people, they'll do like a jump in and they'll go low. Naoto's JC locks you into your standing animation for a long enough time for you to do a rising JA and have it hit them standing despite them trying to go to crouch block. So I'll just show that again. You watch my buttons. I was down backing. I got hit. Now, for Naoto to convert off this, she needs to inflict a fear status on you against pretty much the entire cast. The exceptions to that would be Margaret and Narukami. Like, you can just like chain the JA and you can just come down and it will combo on them without statuses needed. Everyone else, you'll kind of need a status. There's very special setups that can make it work on Chie and Yosuke, but they're incredibly difficult to do, so I would not recommend even going over those really. So just for all intents and purposes, the fuzzy, or the F-Shiki I should say, is reliable without any setup. Well, I should say without any status effects on Margaret and Narukami. So abuse it against them if you can. Next norm I'm going to talk about is her JB. Great air-to-air attack. Very fast. This move is only 7 frames. Only 1 frame slower than this. So you can kind of do multiple JBs in one jump. Like, as you can see, I'm kind of like doing 2 before I land. Because it has very short recovery. JA and JB both have 12 frames of recovery, so you kind of just throw it out there. But JA, since it's chainable into it itself, even on whiff, like, its recovery is kind of irrelevant. But for this attack, really important. Really great. Pretty good combo starter as well. It's like, as I said, it's one of her good starters. Like 5B, well, 5B is like best starter. This is best starter. 2B and JB are good starters. JA is like worst starter. It's not even a bad one. It's just worst starter. So yeah, you'll mainly just use this for combos, kind of like try to out-poke people in the air. Nothing too crazy. You'll also use this for like air dash mix-up. Like, use this because it just has more block stun than JA. Landing with JA, like, they can pretty much, there's not too much block stun. Trying to make that tight is a bit difficult. But JB, more block stun, so it gives you tighter strings. Okay, so moving along. We can talk about, well, the next move that comes up on the wiki is technically her guard cancel attack. So I guess I'll just show it. So that's her guard cancel. As you can see, it's kind of the same attack as regular Naoto's AA. So her guard cancel attack's pretty good. It's not too bad. I want to say you can low profile it though. Let's see. I will just do this instead. Yeah, you can go under it. Her guard cancel attack can be low profile, so that's one of the biggest weaknesses to it, and it's one of the reasons why guard cancel attacks in this game suck. That's not to say you shouldn't use it, but there are a lot of ways of beating guard cancel attacks. Like, here's another one. Like, you can reactionary. Well, that was a little. Let's try. Oh, she's just like going through. I guess I need to do it immediately. Oh, I guess I'm just moving past the DP. There you go. Okay. Now, nothing really happened there. But let me show if I backdash cancel it. Yeah, so basically my guard cancel would have gotten baited there and I would have probably gotten hit. There's a lot of ways. A lot of people can just DP a guard cancel on reaction. They can super your guard cancel on reaction. a lot of things can happen to your guard cancel. Naoto's guard cancel, unfortunately, is one of the guard cancels you can go under. Not everyone's guard cancel has that issue. You can go directly underneath it. So be careful with how you use it. It also costs 50 meter to do it. And the way you do it is while you're in block stun, you hit forward and AB, and you will guard cancel. It's one of your few defensive options, not the greatest one. Your safest bet, if you're going to guard cancel, would be to actually have OMC. If you saw that, one more cancel. You can one more cancel, you can one more burst. Those ways are your safest ways of guard canceling and not getting hit by like a DP or whatever. So keep that in mind if you definitely just want to get out, because this game is pretty unforgiving offensively. So like if they start making you block, you don't want to be blocking this game. It's not a fun time. Anyway, carrying on. Next, we're going to talk about her all-out attack. Both characters have the same all-out attack, of course. So far, everything I've said, aside from her 5AA and 5AA, it's all the same for both characters. So, her all-out attack is 26 frame startup. One of the faster all-out attacks, just like in Vanilla. Vanilla, her all-out attack was 24 frames, which was on the faster end for sure. It's an overhead. You must block the standing, so I'll just demonstrate how the dummy switches its guard. You have to block it standing. It's minus 20 on block, so very unsafe. A lot of people can just hit you for it. The special thing about all-out attacks is these attacks, they have a certain amount of armor frames. What this means is, if I all-out attack, let's see if I can get the timing right. No, it's too early. Too early again. Well, still way too early. Yeah, so if you saw that, if you're seeing that, so there's kind of like, that's kind of like the little flash to show that you block something, but Naoto is kind of going through her animation for her all-out attack. What this armor means is that basically you can armor through attacks and the AoA will continue as if nothing's really happening to you. Like, it's as if you're blocking while attacking, basically. Essentially kind of like auto guard, but this is just armor frames. Now, her armor frames kick in from frames 13 to 26. So about halfway through the startup of this attack is when you get your armor frames, and right when it hits is the final frame which you have armor. So the main purpose for this attack, it's not so much to hit people as an overhead, because this is a reactable overhead, but you will catch people sleeping from time to time. The important thing is you want to use this attack for either trying to mash or trying to DP you in your pressure strings. If you have the feeling that your opponent is trying to reversal out with a DP, you want to use this attack. The thing to keep in mind with AoAs is that the armor does not work against supers. Supers will just destroy the AoA's armor. It only works against normals and DPs. So keep that in mind when you're trying to look for something specifically. You don't want to use this move and get hit by a super, because people will mash supers out of blocks, and especially if like let's say you're fighting a Minazuki player or a Show player, they will probably try to reversal you with Moon Smasher, and if you're looking to beat those attacks, you don't want to use AoA against it. Aside from that, there's not really much else to say about all-out attacks, really. I'll talk more in detail about all-out attacks on hit later when I talk about combos. and like setups and stuff, because there is more to it, but for the purpose of like, you know, normal summary, it's best to just only use attack to blow up mashing and DPing. So next move we're going to talk about is Naoto Sweep. This is probably my favorite grounded move from Naoto. Really fast, low hitting attack with great range. Its range is a little bit better than 5D's. So as I said, it's a low hitting attack. It's a good starter for her. This is short hop cancelable, special cancelable. Like, you have a lot of cool options. It's pretty good on block actually. It's only -6. And this move was actually nerfed. This move used to have just be 8 frame startup, and now it's 10 frame startup, but still great nonetheless, because it was such a great move that it did need to be nerfed. The thing about this attack, like I was mentioning before, sweeps all have this property called, like, sweeps can invul through chest attribute attacks. This sweep is no exception. As I showed earlier, like if Naoto would 5D like that, just like that. See, I'm even in the range for it, and oh, I got hit because I was a little late. Yeah, it just blows through chest attribute attacks. So you're gonna mainly use this attack as like a poke. Like poke into like special cancel, or a poke against like chest attribute attacks being used in neutral. There's a lot of attacks that have chest attribute that are gigantic and often used in neutral. Like, for example, Mitsu's 5A, Narukami 5B, Naoto 5B. A lot of attacks have chest attribute, and they ideally, the counter against those attacks is sweep. So keep that in mind when using this attack. Know your enemy. Know what's chest attribute, and be ready to answer those attacks with your sweep whenever you see fit. Alright, next we're going to talk about her persona attacks. Basically, any attacks involving her C and or D button. First attack up is one of Naoto's best normals. It's her 5C. This attack is Naoto's best combo starter. Well, second best combo starter, I should say. Who has a lot of blocks into it. Special cancelable, dash cancelable on block. Jump cancelable, if I didn't already say that. Really good. If you hit this attack, like, the opponent's going to eat big damage if you spend the resources on it. First thing I'll talk about is the dash cancel. This dash cancel is the better dash cancel that I was talking about earlier in this tutorial already. This is -2 on block. Very few things in this game are that fast enough to punish a move that's -2. Like, there's no way I'm hitting her. Not even with, like, let's see if I can do this properly. I should be able to block. Yep. That is Naoto's fastest possible move. Very fast, and even that will not catch Naoto out of this dash cancel. Very safe. It's actually infinitely safer than if you were to let this attack, like, recover on its own. Her dash cancel is a great way to kind of get back in and pressure people. It is telegraphable though, like you can see it, you can kind of tell that dash cancel is happening, or you can rather OS against it and always be ready to 5A people. Only characters with an 8 frame or slower 5A cannot interrupt dash cancel 5A from her, and only characters with a 7 frame or faster 5A, only they can interrupt something as fast as dash cancel throw. Like, I will show that only, like, Naoto has a 6 frame 5A, So she should be able to mash after, like stop this. Yep. Throw gets counter hit. Now if I try 2A, I got thrown. I'm getting thrown for it. Now, the thing about, if I'm not mistaken, in a situation where a throw and a normal will occur on the same frame, I think throws take priority. So, actually, that means 7 frame 5As will not be able to stop dash cancel throw. But obviously, like, I can just jump out if I feel that the opponent's going to do it, counter hit him, whatever. But it's something good to know that dash cancel throw versus any character whose 5A is not 7 frames or faster is pretty much guaranteed if they try to mash it, is nice to know. So that's pretty much it about it. Oh, important thing, one of the weaknesses about 5C is that this move, just like her 5B, chest attribute. So I'm not going to go and show that you can sweep under it. Like, you should take my word for it. It's a thing. You can be swept for this, no problem, and it's not going to be fun. Aside from that, this is just mainly combo filler. Oh, and I guess I should mention that this sword swing, it also hits behind her. I guess I'll just use a dummy to show it. Yeah, like, oops, she auto-corrected. Yeah, like, it hits behind Naoto's head, so you can beat slow cross-ups and whatnot, or if people, like, try to roll you, like, yeah, like, it'll even auto-correct for you and catch people rolling, so it's really neat. It's a really neat thing. Let's see. Okay, so next up is her 5D. This move sends her persona out, but if you hit the D button again, the persona will do like that triple slash kind of thing that it just did right there. Useful if you can set it up like off like full screen knockdown situations where you kind of don't want to go in, but you still want to like maintain a presence against the opponent. Just throw this attack out. If you have like your bullets, you know, you can make it tight, keep your persona safe by shooting at the opponent. Not her best attacks, not one of her best attacks anymore. This move also got significantly nerfed. If you notice, you can see the persona traveling across the screen. In vanilla, the persona was completely invisible. There was no indicator on the screen of how far the persona has traveled. And the other nerf to this attack is 5D does not autocorrect. As you see, the persona just keeps on swinging past the opponent. But what Arxis did do is they gave this attack a variation called 4D. So as you can see, the persona moves a lot more slowly across the screen. Still goes full screen, but at a very slow pace. And this attack does, in fact, autocorrect. As you can see, persona turns around and will attack. One thing to note is, if you are in block stun and you do so, and the persona is already out, so for example, let me set a recording. Okay, so I'm just gonna do it. I guess the persona went a little too. I should probably activate it a little sooner. Oops. Oh, I'm slow with it. Oh. Oops. I just want to show that this move can actually... Yeah, like that. So, like, on block, you can't really get it out. But if your opponent leaves any gaps, like let's say I did like a frame trap there, if I'm mashing D while the persona is out like that, the persona will trigger and it will potentially hit my opponent out of whatever they're doing. Really cool property that move has. Will save you if you get forced into a situation where you have to block, but it's not very good if you did it with 5D because the persona would just keep on going and keep swinging past the opponent. But if you did 4D, the persona will turn around if you are not in a completely tight block string and will swing at the opponent for you, which is great. As far as combo starters go, this is like, this move 5D is like a bad starter. It's not terrible, but it's not very good either. 5C is like best starter material. Next attack we're going to talk about is also going to be a bad starter. Talk about her 2C. Naoto's 2C is her farthest hitting grounded attack. Like, this hits like half screen, pretty much. I don't know if half screen is a good way of describing it, but I want to say half screen covers the range properly. This move is not a great combo starter. Your cancel options are very minimum on hit. On block, you have only one option. Well, technically, you can OMC it, but you want to avoid using an OMC in your pressure like that needlessly with Naoto. You can only cancel this attack into AOA, and AOA is unsafe. 2C on block is unsafe as it's minus 14. But this move is pretty damn strong regardless. Like, you use this to like whiff punish people. Like, you see someone whiffed a big normal, or they are standing at a range doing something where they think they're safe from Naoto, you just kind of run up, you hit them. Look how far that was. And even then, if you space this really well, the distance, like, that's a huge distance between regular Naoto and Shadow Naoto there. So not many characters can actually hit you if you space your 2Cs well enough for using it. Like I said earlier, it's a pretty bad combo starter, and you can only cancel this until you can only special cancel this on hit. So you can kind of like OS your special cancel. So if it does hit, yeah, if it does hit, you'll cancel into whatever route you want to go into. So it's cool to note. This move is super cancelable though, so if you feel like super canceling it for whatever reason on block, feel free. Next thing I want to talk about is a variation of that same attack, and it's her charge 2C. So basically, you execute this attack by just holding down the C button, and you'll get this attack. This attack is, so 2C was 14 frame startup, and it's minus 14 on block. Charge 2C is 18 frame startup, but it's plus 8 on block. This move is really important. This is your pretty much the best starter Naoto has. And the reason why it's best is not only because of her proration value. On counter hit. Ooh, they're still blocking. Oops. Fatal starter. 5C is just regular counter. Like all these attacks, just, you know, regular counter. Fatal counter starter. Fatal counters are, Naoto's fatal counter starter is huge damage because she has zapper loops in this game. But I'll show what those are later once we get to the combo section. Just know that if you hit the opponent with this attack, your opponent should eat no less than 50 to 60% damage meterlessly. Keep that in mind. Even mid-screen, this attack should at least do 50 to 40%. If you put him in the corner, 60 to 70. So this attack's purpose, aside from like big punishes, is for pressure resets. Since this attack is plus 8, you are at a pretty significant advantage. If I can, you know, use it in pressure where you think the opponent will respect Naoto, or you put it in points in your pressure where you feel the opponent is not ready to mash or anything, and you just like extend your block strings, you know, just go through the motions. Really good. You can also use this attack like for persona displacement stuff. Like, as you can see, kind of throw your persona out there. You can kind of, I'm looping 5C into charge 2C kind of over and over again. You can also do it with just like 2C. You can do like 2C whiff. I'm doing like 2C, 2C, 5C, like, you do stuff like that with your persona. I don't recommend just doing that willy-nilly, just like throwing it out, but you know, there's certain time and places where like throwing your persona out and like making it attack from wherever you threw it out from is good. Doing it off 2C is, charge 2C is not a bad idea. It creates like a frame trap situation and whatnot and catches people trying to move around. So it's pretty good. But this attack, it's your punish move. This is your ideal punish. You should know what you can and cannot punish with charge 2C, and you should use it wherever you can. This move has, its weakness is that it's 18 frame startup. It used to be like 20 something. It was really slow, but it's a lot faster, but it has a lot of recovery. So your opponent can call you out for this and pretty much hit you for like however they want. So you can just roll past it, counter hit them. Like, you can't really jump over it, but you can get behind them, hit them. Like, if the opponent calls out the attack appropriately, like, you're getting hit. Like, they just need to make sure they avoid blocking it. If they can avoid blocking it, they can probably hit you for it. Okay, so next thing I want to discuss is her JC. JC is her godlike jumping attack. Like, look at this. It's huge. Very, very short recovery on it. It's only 13 frames recovery, so just like her JB and JA, you can kind of just do 2 in a jump. Not as easily though, because it's a little slower. Well, more importantly, its startup is slower. It's 12 frame startup as opposed to like 6 or 7, but same recovery. It's a good starter. You get good combos off of it. It's the same for both Naotos. It's an overhead. One of the buffs they gave this attack is it is now an overhead. I don't know why they did it, but they did it. So you must block that move standing. Great change for Naoto. Silly change though. Mainly just used for combos and stuff, and this is your jump in of choice. Like, if you don't want to like mix them up with stuff like that, you definitely want to use this attack because it is so fast and it's hard to anti-air space correctly. Not much more to say about it. It's pretty standard jump in attack. Great hitbox. Good stuff all around. So next move we're going to talk about is her JD. Now her JD is interesting. This move is considered both an attack and a projectile. I want to say on its startup, while it's still like kind of glowing like this, it's considered a projectile. Don't really know. Wiki doesn't explicitly state which part, like what frames are considered what. But that's not really that important. This is one of Naoto's best starters, but the problem is it's such an awkward starter to convert off of that you will not really see combo starters with this. If you can convert off it, great, but I don't see many people getting full combos off of it, but there's interesting things you can do with this move. So for starters, it's special cancel on hit or block. Can't jump cancel this on hit. It's got somewhat significant recovery. It's 4 plus 8 upon landing, 14 plus 8 on landing, so it has like 14 frames of recovery, and then when you land from it, you have like an additional 8 frames. You can recover in the air though, so you completely ignore the extra 8 frames. 15 frame startup, pretty quick. Covers a great range, like all that is just hitbox. Has a pretty good hitbox as well, so you can stuff people trying to hit it and whatnot. Pretty punishable though, like if you throw it out there, the persona's out there for a while, as you can see. So you, as Naoto, have to kind of, protect it yourself. Great attack just for controlling space, like, and it also kind of halts your air move, like momentum, so it can kind of save you from certain heights from getting like anti-aired. you also keep your air movement after you use it, so yeah, you do stuff like that. Cool move, don't ignore it, use it in neutral, it will save your life. Alright, so next we're going to talk about her throws. So I'm going to start with her ground throw. Now her ground throw is I'll call it worst starter, but it's weird. Throws in general aren't that great, but you can do pretty hefty damage off of them. So proration wise, it's not great, but as far as throws go, hers is probably one of the better ones because she can combo off of it anywhere on screen, which is something not every character can do. So her throw is 5-frame startup, so it's her fastest non-super grounded attack. So it's faster than her 5A, but it's slower than her supers. If I'm not mistaken. I don't remember how specifically they changed her supers, but I know they did do something to it. But anyway, 5-frame startup, 27 frames of recovery, so if you whiff this attack like what I'm doing, bad times. Don't whiff this. So just to show how you can combo off it mid-screen and stuff, so like her throw has a follow-up to it. It's kind of like her 2C follow-up. So you just hit like either C or D, and Naoto will use Kona Ikona to kind of blast them across the screen. So you can special cancel that part, and you can do like I whiff her A fangs and do C shots. You can just like kind of go into stance, wait, shoot him with A shots. Like the opponent can't tech until they hit the ground, basically. So you have all that time to do whatever you want. If like let's say you're out of bullets, kind of just like set traps up, and like there you go. You have like a little fort going on, which is cool. It's a cool thing to do. You should choose what you kind of want to do depending on the situation. Like let's say you want to like press them into the corner, you can kind of just dash and do that. That's pretty safe against most characters, DPs and whatnot. It doesn't hit perfectly meaty, so you can potentially get rolled out of it, or like if they delay their tech, you will miss your JC and they can mash you. So you want to mix it up. Generally, you want to settle with the combo because Naoto, like, I mean, you get pretty good damage. You almost get 2k off that. You get 2k, you get screen positioning. Like in this game, you kind of don't want Naoto to be close to the opponent. You don't want to fight anyone, basically. If you can just spend the entire match running away, building meter, and playing really lame, and once you finally get a clean hit on him, then you just kill him, do it. Because this game is crazy. So yeah. For all extent, like, the wiki lists the follow-up as its own attack. Won't really talk about it because it doesn't really serve too much of a purpose aside from the fact that it's a special cancelable, but this is technically a standalone attack. As you can see, it crumples as well, so you can do like cute mix-up stuff. One thing to note is if you fatal counter somebody with her throw, you can OTG pick up with her 5A, her 2A I should say, and you almost get 3k off that. From mid-screen, basically. So if you fatal counter somebody, you should probably go for this combo route. The link's a little tight, so you should practice it. But it's something you do consistently. I can do it mid-matches, so it's something worth practicing. It's really only major thing to note. So let's talk about her air throw. Let me get rid of the fatal counter property. Air throw. Basically, can't really do anything off of it meterlessly unless you're like super loaded. Like, there's at certain heights you can combo off of it meterlessly on counter hits. Very inconsistent. Like, this is usually the height where you're gonna grab people out of the air, or even higher, really. So keep that in mind. It does pretty good damage on its own. You can one more cancel it and get like bigger combos. Like, this should almost do 3k or more than 3k. Pretty good damage for 50 meter. That's like, there's probably more optimal throw combos, but that's just an really easy, consistent one that I do. Her throws in general, like I said, they're worse starters, but because of the base damage that they have, like, you still get pretty good damage off of them. You just don't get very long combos. So moving along, I'm going to talk about her DP now. This move. This is what we call her Furious action. If you played the RPG, you'll know this attack as Shield of Justice. This attack is a counter. It is active from frames 1 to 24, and it is also invulnerable frames 1 through 24. But it has over a full second of recovery on whiff. It's exactly 62 frames. This attack has multiple follow-ups when triggered. Like, you know you'll trigger this DP when the shield itself turns purple. So, to demonstrate, I will just... First, I need to stop her from jumping. So, that's how you know the attack was triggered. Oops, did it way too early. That means the attack was triggered. Now, you need to hit another button after you trigger this. Usually, it's another button plus a direction, depending on what you want to do. If you decide to just hit another button without any directions, you will get this follow-up. It's just a kind of burst. Things to note about that burst is it's considered a projectile. So if you do something that's projectile invul, you'll beat it. Attack is it's a 10 frame startup attack, so it's roughly as fast as Mitsu's DP. This attack, the burst, you can't low profile it, and the reason why I'm mentioning it is because the next attack I'm going to talk about has that problem. It's 33. It's minus 33 on block, so if the opponent successfully baits it, pretty bad. You can't really combo off of this attack in most situations, but I'm pretty sure there's ways, really EMP jank ways to combo off of it that I'm not going to go over, but whole purpose is it's invul from frames 1 to 25, so you get extended invulnerability once the attack is triggered. So it's a good reversal. Not the best. In fact, it's probably on the lower end of the reversal scale in this game, but it works. You're going to have to use it, unfortunately. Just do your best to not die and get baited for it. You just really don't want to get baited for using it. But anyway, I'll talk about the next follow-up. Her next follow-up is this. Now, it's a bullet. S.Naoto fires a forward-moving projectile. This move's called Countershot EX. Just like the previous version, it's a projectile, but instead of it being like a blast kind of burst kind of attack, it's a focused projectile that moves all the way across the screen. So I guess I can just show that it moves across the screen by shooting one shot. Alright. Like that. So this projectile just blows through everything. Every other projectile in this game will lose to that DP. That projectile follows. It has like infinite points of like durability. So depending on which DP you see more fit, this like kind of decides on like, depending on the situation, really determines which follow-up or DP you want to use. So between these two, like, as you know, like full screen, like if you want to DP and kind of hit them, so you do that one. But it wouldn't make any sense if you did that. Like, you don't really accomplish anything. So just be smart about it. If it means anything, doing this version is actually safer on block for multiple reasons. One, has less frame disadvantage and less recovery overall. The other thing is, this attack kind of, you know, like, pushes people back. So I will... Let's see. How do I want to record this? Alright, that's a bad example. The point is, the projectile, due to spacing, if the opponent doesn't bait it properly, or if they're not close enough, the shot will kind of push them farther back, and it could potentially make you safe on block. So it's a neat thing to remember that how negative this particular DP shot is depends on if the opponent blocks it, and if so, how far away from you did they block it. Because the frame disadvantage is not static like that. Okay, so the final follow-up is a new addition that they added. Oh, and I should probably show real quick why I mentioned low profiling earlier. So you saw that, right? So her DP isn't considered chest, it's a projectile, but the projectile can be ducked under. As you can see, I'm sweeping underneath this projectile, so if the opponent can assume that I'm going to do that version, because what this version does have over the other version is that this, if that projectile hits, it launches the opponent full screen. It gets them off of you. The blast burst follow-up of the DP pops them up, and they like kind of fall right in front of you. So if the opponent knows, like let's say you're in the corner and you want them off of you, you generally want to use this one. And if they know that, they can intentionally bait your DP out and then go under it and then hit you for doing it. So there's that to be conscious of. Really important to know that that's a thing. But anyway, to finally round out this DP, this DP also happens to have an interesting follow-up that they added in this version. It's a backdash cancel. If the opponent triggers the DP, and only if they trigger it, you can backdash cancel out. This is, recovery-wise, her safest DP follow-up. It's only 27 frames recovery, and you're invul from frames 1 to 21. So you're pretty much relatively invul while this move is occurring. The issue is, this move has fatal recovery. It's one of S.Naoto's few moves that you are naturally in a fatal counter state. So if the opponent calls you out, or if they just have an OS or something that hits you for the backdash, you will be eating massive amounts of damage. You need to be very careful, and sometimes you're going to DP and you're just holding back, you know, just to be safe, like block and DP kind of at the same time. You will accidentally get this sometimes, and you might actually die for it. So be very careful about how you input your DP. If you just want to DP without getting the backdash, I suggest holding down back and hitting DP. Don't hit back, because you might get this when you don't mean to get it. But for the most part, like, certain characters have a really hard time catching your backdash, like off safe jumps and whatnot. So you can DP backdash a lot of safe jumps, and if your opponent is not ready to tag your backdash, you will create space. I won't say you'll get out, especially if you're in the corner. You'll just backdash in their face and they'll definitely hit you, but mid-screen you can definitely escape certain situations with the backdash if they're not ready for it. It's not something I recommend doing all the time, but it's a thing. Okay, so next up is her specials. First, we're going to talk about her aim stance. This move is just the stance Naoto takes, and in this stance, she can just shoot. She has 3 follow-ups. Actually, I'll just talk about the stances first, and I'll talk about the gunshots. But the point is, she can shoot. She can kind of do a backflip out of this, and if you have meter, you can do a like James Bond roll. This move, I'll talk about this right after. This move's 14 frames startup, 13 frames of recovery, so a lot of attacks you can kind of like special cancel into this, like 5C, that. And I haven't done the math on all of them, but I know this is pretty much like neutral on block, if I'm not mistaken. Like 5C stance cancel, pretty safe. So you use that just like to mix it up in pressure because it's pretty fast. Like people can't really react. It's a 14 frame startup move with 13 frames of recovery. It's pretty quick. The opponent has to be ready to mash, and there's a little frame trap situation. Like you can just like delay gunshots if you think they are gonna mash you out, or you can kind of like bait their attempt to hit you with that. Now this one, so this is 214A. This is 214B. So this move is, it has from frames 6 to 18, you are full body invul. So you can actually flip through attacks. It's kind of hard to demonstrate it, and I don't like really trying to go for it, but it's something I wouldn't bank on intentionally invulling through things unless you're really godlike, but you can use this, as I was saying, as kind of like a way to bait, and more importantly, this lets you create a lot of space, like 2 backflips and you're pretty far away. And if you can kind of react to the fact that they're trying to move in on you, like let's say they're like, oh, he's backflipping, I'm gonna chase him, you can shoot. You want to mix up your options as best as you can, mix up your movement, and be kind of unpredictable. The way, like, using aim stance properly really helps mix up your pressure, mix up your options, and lets you kind of move and get away in, like, creative ways. So you should keep that in mind for sure. Next up, I want to talk about her SB roll. This move has fatal recovery and startup. I don't remember if it's just fatal recovery. I know on startup you can get hit out of this. Let's see this way. So the thing about this move is it's not frame 1 invul. So as you see, okay, yeah. So it seems like on the very first frame, it's not fatal counter recovery, like getting counter hit. But then I guess from frame 2 onward, like 2 to 3 or 2 to 4, no, it's 2 to 3. So there's a 2 frame window where it's fatal recovery, I want to say. Alright, anyway, it's fatal recovery on its startup. This move is invul from frame 4 onward. Frame 4 to 22, this move is completely invul. And as you can see, like this move moves her forward. So let's say my back was into the corner, now they're in the corner. And I have all the same follow-ups as I do out of like, just regular snipe stance. So I can just like cancel out of it and just like dip and shoot him. I can backflip. I can roll again. You have all those follow-ups really. And of course, if you just hold D while you're in snipe stance, you will cancel out of it. You can also manually input 2 and 4A again, but then you run the risk of, let's say you're in Awakening, you might accidentally get that. So generally you want to cancel D. And it also seems to be faster. Like, look how fast I can cancel. Like, It's pretty ridiculous how fast. You can cancel like the cancel window of the stance. You can cancel the cancel window of the stance into itself again, which is weird. I don't know why that's a thing, but you can kind of do it. So it lets you do like that kind of like hold up kind of situation. It's cool though. Like I said, just vary your stance options, your stance game, really important. Now we're going to talk about the shot follow-ups out of the stances. So regardless of what stance you're in, you can shoot. And the properties of your gunshots don't change in what stance you're in. But Naoto has every button gives you a different variant of a shot. So we're going to look into that now. First we're going to look into is her horizontal shot. Very basic, it just shoots at completely 180 degree angle, straight across the screen. So the first 4 shots in Naoto's clip are just like these little baby shots that just do 200 damage each. But her last gunshot, her 5th bullet, is special. It is significantly stronger than the previous 4. And on top of that, it takes, I guess I'll reset the fake counter now. I'll talk about this mechanic when we get into combos, but just know that it removes a number from that skull counter, and I will talk about that skull counter soon. So these attacks they're just all projectiles, nothing big. Each one of these shots, this is minus 16 on block. So you pretty much always just want to do a tight string. Like, unless you can stagger these shots to kind of stop people from trying to run at you. But for the sake of safety, like let's say I shoot them like in their face. For the sake of safety, you want to cancel all the way up till the very last shot. You do not want to just do one shot and cancel unless your opponent's not ready to react. They can OS smash that and just like whenever they should be in block stun, if they're just hitting a button, they'll just smash you and hit you. So yeah, as far as combo starters go, one of her, I want to say these first 4 shots are like best starters. The last shot is like a good starter, not the best. But really good attack anyway. You can get pretty big damage if you just unload a clip, and then you can do a combo off that. Really good stuff. So this shot's a mid. Important thing to note is this move can just crouch under it or not. Actually, you can sweep under it. That's what I meant to say. So I will record now. So shooting. So yeah, you can like, if you don't want to kind of block this, you can sweep under it to a degree. And like I only had to block the final shot. So you can do cool stuff like that. Other characters are better at that than Naoto is, but you can kind of do that and just avoid getting shot at. Next follow-up is this. This gunshot follow-up is kind of like Naoto shoots at her feet and it ricochets at a pretty sharp angle upward. This is one of Naoto's anti-air options. You use this in anticipation of people trying to fly at you, and it cuts off like a good portion of the screen, a good portion in front of her. But like you're pretty vulnerable. Like people can get behind you. People can, like, if they have a longer range poke, they can kind of just like do something like that. Well, you guys get the idea. Like, you can get poked out of that if you have an attack where your hurt box is not extended, but you have like a big enough hitbox to hit them out. It's a thing. So this attack, it's unique in the sense that This is actually low. I guess the best way to show that would be record the dummy shooting at me. I'm holding back, and as you saw, it's a green exclamation point. Green exclamation point means it's a low. So I was blocking high and I got shot low. So if you block the portion, if you're close enough, this move is actually a low. One of Naoto's 3 main lows. Paration of this attack's the same as all the gunshots have the same paration. This one's a little less safe on block. The little individual shots are still minus 16, but the final shot is minus 11. Not because this one has, as you see, Naoto has more of a like recoil than she does here. That recoil animation is shorter, so it's less safe. You can get punished by a lot of things, so be careful. Be very careful about you using B shots like that. Very punishable. If you can, I'd suggest doing something like that to avoid suffering from, because final hit of this is minus 7 on block, final hit of this is minus 11. So I would avoid, I'd confirm if they got hit by this and then switch to that one to just be safer. But it does leave a gap there, so if the opponent's mashing DP, you will get DP'd there. But you kind of have to like make a judgment call. So yeah, there's not much else to say about it. Everything has the same starter. You guys know the frame disadvantage difference. So let's move on to the next one. This is strictly her anti-air shot. It's mainly used in combos, but like the opponent is like all the way up there, just kind of like, you know, I'm gonna stay up here because they don't want to fight on the ground or whatever. That's where you snipe them out with that. This move is like same thing. This is minus 16. Like you can make someone block this standing. Each one of these little hits is minus 16. This move, the final gunshot, it doesn't connect on most characters standing. Like I think it might connect on Narukami and Margaret, but that's because they're just outrageously tall. But in the air, you can make someone block this final shot. This final shot is also minus 7. So yeah, this one blocked is the final gunshot is minus 3. It's the safest one out of them all. No, I lie. Minus 7. After I finish the next shot, I'm going to talk about the SB versions of all these shots, because yes, Naoto has SB versions of these. Last gunshot to talk about is this one. Now this one is it looks a lot like her DP, because it pretty much is the same kind of blast. It is one of her, this version, it's just her stance 6D. It's pretty bad as a combo starter, very low like hit stun to it. As you can see, they tech in the air. Mainly use this because it takes like as you can see, this fate counter, like they lose a fate. You also use this like certain combos, like just to attack on like a little extra damage, take an extra fate, but you don't get a knockdown. Not that commonly used. This is horrifically unsafe on block. It is a minus 23 if they block that. So don't do it on block. Whatever you do, just don't do it, because you will. You can one more cancel it, and it's fine if you do that, but otherwise, avoid it like the plague. So now I'm gonna go back, and we're gonna talk about the SP versions of all these gunshots. So basically, you can, for 25 meter, you can turn any of the 4 bullets, it's not the last one, into a shot where it has the very similar properties, as if you hit them with the last bullet of your clip. So, in this situation, like I said, for the 25 meter, you get this. Not so useful with regular Naoto, but for Shadow Naoto, you will be using SB gunshots a lot in her combos. And I'll show those later, but for all intents and purposes, this is a thing. So every single version has like an SB shot. Like, as you saw, every single one of them. They're inputted as, if you want the horizontal shot, you'll hit A and B while in the snipe stance. If you want the down, like the low shot, you'll hit B and C. If you have a one more cancel macro, you can just hit that as well, and it'll give it to you. That's what I use. And high shot is done with A and C. So if you have a roll macro, you can use that, or if you have one more burst macro, you can also use that. If you're a stick player, then you should just hit it normally. Like I said, basically what SB gunshots do for you is they just give you access to 5th gunshot with the first 4 bullets anytime for the 25 meter. Same thing with her 6D. If you hit 6CD, you get a projectile very similar to her DP forward shot follow-up. This move is actually really good. It's a fantastic combo starter. Problem is, you can't really combo off of it without like super canceling or whatever, and it's also horrifically unsafe on block. But it's pretty good in neutral because the unique property that these 6D and 6CD have is, if you look at my bullet counter, it does not take a bullet because the bullet is coming from the persona and not from Naoto. So if you're out of, like, let's say you use your entire clip, then the opponent's still, like, they're gonna move forward, or they're gonna try to, like, counter projectile you or whatever, like shoot another projectile after you're done with your clip. Catch them with that, and it's really good. Really good. You'll mainly use that with regular Naoto from time to time. Won't really see it with Shadow Naoto for certain reasons that I'll talk about later. So we're done with the gunshots, which is the more difficult thing to talk about from her, special wise. Now we're gonna move on to her special called Double Fangs. She has 6 different variations of this move. So we'll start with the first one, which is her grounded A Double Fangs. This move, all Double Fangs on the ground automatically put you into snipe stance after. This move, the first hit is not an overhead, but the second one is. And this goes for all Double Fangs. So this is one of her main grounded overheads, really. Like, she only has like AOA and this. Most of the time you're not really going to be using this attack like that. Though you can definitely, like, you know, do something. Let me set it to block. Like, if you're pressuring, kind of, so I spaced Naoto in such a way that the opponent does not block the first hit. But I feel like if the opponent blocks the first hit of any Double Fang, it's much easier to react and block the overhead portion of it. So, like, you can kind of open people up by doing stuff like that, or like going straight into Double Fangs. Like, they're trying to, because it's kind of hard to react appropriately, so if you catch them like anticipating the overhead, you can kind of catch them low. Or if they're just crouch blocking, you can just get them with the Double Fangs. Outside of that, you can use Double Fangs as kind of like a ghetto anti-air. It actually kind of has a good hitbox for that. Mainly hits people like that height, but it has no head invul, so you can get stuffed pretty easily. But It'll catch air movement. I don't like using it like that, but some people have success with it. It's all up to you. So on block, A-Fangs into immediate stance cancel is -5. So you can only be punished by a 5A, a 5-frame 5A, or you know, like a super or something that's ridiculously fast. Aside from that, very safe. It's a very safe way of canceling out of A-Fangs and getting out of stance. Because technically you can shoot, and it creates quite a bit of space. It's also relatively safe, but you know, you're going from -5 to -7 if you choose to shoot. So, like, meterlessly, you generally convert off fangs by shooting. If I can just mash appropriately, it's cold here, so there we go. That's how you generally convert off of it. But you're committing to the gunshots, so you should be careful. Not much more to say about double fangs on the ground. It's just combo material. It's just random overhead. Goes into gunshots. Like, pretty safe to throw out, but use it sparingly. It's not the greatest. Like, if people know that you're gonna do an A-Fangs in the string, they can just 2B you out of it. Like, no problem. Like, clean. Anyway, moving on. Next, we're going to talk about her B version of this attack, B Fangs. B double fangs. As you can see, it's a lot slower, it has a way longer arc, it's way bigger, a lot more damage. It's pretty much like completely different move. It still has all the same properties. This is still an overhead. It's like a full screen overhead, random YOLO, haha, just do it. It's pretty safe if you go straight into the stance cancel. It's -3, really nice. Pretty much has all the same properties as A double fangs, really, just with a couple of nuances. As you can see on hit, the opponent gets bounced. So you can like combo, mainly just want to combo into either C or B gunshots depending on how far the opponent is. Like, you get like a nice little meaty JC setup there. Cool stuff. Really important combos. This move is absolutely essential. And the other thing about this move is it's one of your fatal counter starters. So you, in the corner, you get massive damage off 236B fatal. Aside from that, the one other use that this move has is it is low invul. So one of the ways you can hard call out the opponent's lows. Oops. So this move is low invul from frame 1. So as you can see, the move was out, and I fataled S.Naoto for trying to hit me with a low. You use it as a way to blow up low attacks. It's a read, it's pretty risky, but versus certain characters, you can definitely use this, and it'll make them very sad. And it'll be pretty funny watching them get hit by this. So, like, a good example would be Yukari. Yukari's normals, like her A button, they're only low attacks. So for her to pressure you using her A normals, she runs the risk of getting B-Fangsed out and fataled for it. So, good times for S.Naoto. Aside from that, like I said, it's just mainly combo material. You won't really see much use of it outside of that. Next attack I'm going to talk about very briefly, because it doesn't really come up that much, is her SB Fangs. SB Fangs is basically like, they took the old version of her B Fangs from last game and kind of just like gave it to her in this form. So you can do, like, if you're near the corner, you can do really cool combos like that. It's 2 frames faster than B, like 236B, because B Fangs was 18 frame startup, this one's 16 frames. This one's also low invul on the first frame. Does a lot of damage. Does more damage than B-Fangs. The problem is, proration-wise, it's a worse... Actually, no, it's roughly the same. It's both B-Fangs and this, they're bad starters. Actually, all versions of Double Fangs are bad starters, but they do so much damage that kind of doesn't matter. Like, proration versus damage-wise, like, it kind of, like, evens out. So, yeah. B-Fangs used to be a very notorious move in vanilla because there was a glitch involving SMP that let you loop these attacks without any proration penalty, really, to the point where you'd pretty much one-shot most characters. So they changed the proration and SMP to make sure that doesn't happen in this version, and it indeed does not. But regardless, B-Fangs are mainly the source of her damage, and they should be actively used in her combos. Both SB and B and A. All of them are great for combos. So real quick, I'll just talk about air versions. Yes, she can do this move even in the air. All of them. So these, unlike the ground versions, because as you see, the ground versions, they always go into her aim stance. Air versions do not. She does not have to go into aim stance. So basically, same properties, these hit overhead and whatnot, same proration, same pretty much everything. Different startups though. Aerial Fangs, much faster. Main use you'll see for these is just like combo ender stuff, like just try to get as much damage as you can. Special cancel off of them and all that stuff. On block, the frame data is incredibly variable. It depends heavily on where and when you hit the opponent. Like at the top of their heads, like probably really negative and you can get punished for it. Frame data here has it listed that if you do 236A in the air at the lowest possible height before landing, like it should be roughly -1. 236B lowest and latest possible hit, -2. SB Fangs is like safe, it's 0 on block. Wouldn't really use them in pressure. Very awkward, very not explored. Like this move is not very explored at all. For good reason. They're kind of bad. What they do give Naoto is an extra degree of, like, it's like giving her an extra air dash, basically, an unsafe air dash. So like you can do stuff like that. I didn't mean to do that. Kind of, you know, move around. Like, just gives you an extra degree of freedom. Problem is, all these Fangs have landing recovery. 236A in the air has 14 frames of landing recovery. 236B, 13 frames. SB version is 13 frames. The main reason to use this in neutral is to avoid getting anti-aired. If you've used up your air move, and like say you super jump and you air dash and someone's right underneath you and you just don't want to get anti-aired, you can do something like that to escape. But if they call it out and they chase your B-Fangs, they can hit you on your landing recovery. They have a 13 to 14 frame window, so pretty dangerous to just do it. How good you are at not getting hit out of the air really depends on how good your air movement is, how much you vary it with stuff like JD, traps, and your use of aerial Fangs. So yeah, just practice moving around with Naoto in the air and mixing up your options, and try different safe combinations to avoid getting yourself killed. Okay, next move we're going to talk about is our we're going to talk about her traps. She has C and D version of traps. First one we're going to talk about is her C trap. So C traps What are their startups? Let's see. So this is like 34 frame startup. C-Trap's 34 frame startup. Pretty slow. These attacks are just mainly, they're one of her most important attacks to, you know, actively use in neutral. You can set up to 3 of any of the same trap on the screen at a time. Any more than that will destroy the last trap you used and replace it with the latest trap you set. Traps are pretty bad starters now. They used to be like her best starters. You can use these for pressure situations, like nice way to reset pressure, people like sleeping on you and whatnot. They have quite a bit of recovery on them. C-Trap has 27 frames of recovery. D-Trap has a whopping 35 frames of recovery. Really bad. It's pretty rough. How well you place your traps and how little you get hit for setting them up is a testament of how good of a Naoto player you are. How you use your traps is everything. If you can play around your traps and not get killed for trying to put them out, you're the best. Like, easily. This is how you win. You need good trap placement. Like, all those traps, just because Naoto herself as a character, like, she doesn't really have anything that crazy. Her buttons are like okay, like they do pretty good, but her buttons plus her traps together, like, if she can force you to play around these things, and if she makes you block them, then she's in. Like, she wins right there. That's how she wins. She makes you block stuff that you don't want to have to block because you want to have to get in on her, but you can't. So I cannot stress enough how important it is that you know how to set your traps and how you play around them. Because they're high risk, high reward. Setting them can be very risky, but you want to minimize your risk to just get all the rewards. Because once you have traps set up, you draw a line in the sand. Like, just having this ground D trap, basically your opponent, they can't run at you. They have this trap to deal with. So they have to either decide to, like, go over the trap or, like, disarm it. You can break traps once they're visible, but as you can see, like, at this spacing, I can't destroy the trap. Like, the only way I can destroy this trap is if I hit Naoto. But if I make the trap visible by getting close to it, I can physically destroy it with an attack. D-traps are special in the sense that, did I just not set it? Oh. Alright. D-traps are special in the sense that, as you can see, I'm trying to destroy it with an aerial attack. These do not get destroyed by aerial attacks anymore. That was one of the biggest buffs. So, it was to help with Naoto's weak anti-air game from last version. So let's say I'll show it this way. Whoa, I need to create space first. And I will set the dummy to block. So there's a trap there, right? So I'm gonna fly at you, I'm gonna mash. Oops. Before, that used to not work. You would land and you would destroy the trap with those air normals. Not anymore. So, with that said, that is one of the biggest things about that trap. But in exchange for gaining that property, they made this move way more slow. Like, the recovery on this move is way more. So, setting those traps, very scary. Her C-traps have way less risk, but at the cost of being pretty easy to destroy, and as I said that, I get hit. These traps don't have any special properties like that. Like, if they're visible, you can just disarm them. No big deal. But regardless, the nice thing about C-traps aside from the fact that, you know, D traps can only, like, no matter where you, like how high you set them in the air, they always come to the ground. C traps can be set in the air. They float in the air. So a lot of people will refer to these as air traps. So these still have pretty big hitboxes. Cover pretty much any part of the screen that you set them on. They just don't have any interesting invul properties against certain attacks. The other thing that the C traps have over D traps is they explode a lot more quickly. D traps have slower explosion startups. Actually, no. No, that's not true. That was something we used to think. Yeah, no, they have the same. They all activate 11 frames after touching them. It's just C traps. Their hitbox, I should say, is just more conducive to hitting people out of things than D traps are. So anyway, those are traps. Very important. Learn how to space them. Learn how to set them safely. Use them to, like, you can just use them to, like, mix up your air options, because they do halt you in the air for a bit. So also great ways to avoid getting anti-aired. Like let's say you're about to fall on their head, you just, like, bam, you got them. Anyway, we're done with that. Next we're going to talk about a new special that she gained. Zapper. This is Venom Zapper, or in English, it's called Blight. This move is a godsend, particularly the C version. So on hit, this move poisons the opponent. I will demonstrate that real quick. So if you watch S.Naoto's health, it's depleting slowly. 3 ticks. It took, I want to say each tick of poison does 1.8% of the character's total health. So depending on their health value, it takes a different amount of health from everyone, but the percentages are the same. It takes the same amount. Combo starter wise, zappers are bad starters, but mid combo they're godlike, because there are ways to combo off zappers, and you can extend your combos and whatnot. And so you're getting, not only do zappers, like, inflict a set amount of damage, they also get the poison damage. So stacking poison is the way Naoto gets her biggest damage this version. Poison is really powerful in Persona. Not as powerful as previous, like Guilty Gear has a poison mechanic as well. It's much stronger than this game's, but regardless, it's pretty silly in this one. So anyway, let's go back to talking to the move itself. So, C Zapper. This move, the reason why I say it's a godsend is because this move has head invulnerability from frames 14 to 19. It's a 15 frame startup move, but from the 4th frame onwards, you're head invul. So it is a godly anti-air, and the hitbox is fantastic. So watch. So that was a little too early. I got hit. Got hit. Got hit. Got hit. Like, look at that. Like, look how, like, I went through Naoto there. Actually, I'm just phasing through her with my jump and attack. Like, any move that has head property, head attribute, like, Zapper destroys. It just destroys jump-ins. It's just, you need to, because this is an anime game, like, people can bait you out, and they can hit you. That's why this move isn't just the end all of everyone's, like, air games, because it has a lot of, it's pretty bad when you miss it. You don't want to miss Zapper. Zapper At least C-Zapper. C-Zapper is pretty bad to miss, and you're kind of stuck in that animation of her throwing the persona upwards at you. But C-Zapper is amazing. D-Zapper has no purpose really in like pressure and your offense because it has a lot of startups, like 20 frame startups. It's neutral on block. I guess it's good for the purpose of like pushing the opponent away. It's neutral on block only if they're standing. If I remember correctly, if they crouch D-Zapper, it is -6 on block, if not a little more. C-Zapper is -5 if you block it standing. If you block it crouching, it's probably punishable. I want to say it's probably like -10. But it will push you away kind of to a safe range, so you need something pretty quick to hit her for like making you block it on the ground. In the air, it's pretty much safe. Like if they air block it, like you're fine. Like I said, D-Zapper, its purpose is strictly for combos. Doing stuff like this, you like super cancel off of it, and you get the extra bit of poison. You like C-Zapper, you can't really use it in the middle of combos. D-Zapper you can. D-Zapper is pretty much just combo filler. SB-Zapper though. SB-Zapper is essentially, this move is really good. You won't see S.Naoto really using it outside of Shadow Burst, but this move is pretty good in pressure. So as you see, my recovery compared to like D or C is like non-existent with SB. Like I can pretty much move immediately. It's plus 37 if block standing. If block crouching, it's like plus 20 something. Just it gives you enough time to just run back in and pressure people, especially if it's done in the corner. Like it's definitely your turn. Causes poison on hit. This move is very versatile, even on hit. Like you can do stuff off of it. Like, you can chase the opponent up and do like a short little air combo. If you have extra meter, you can like do a one more cancel combo. Yeah, like pretty good damage. Like not bad. So this move, you use it in pressure, you use it for a variety of things. Very important for S.Naoto. Like Blight as a whole is critical for S.Naoto, more so than regular, but very important move. Just you need to use them properly. C-Zapper is just the god for anti-airing people. D and SB are, D is combo filler, SB is multi-purpose, it's for combos, and it's for pressure. Just you need to remember that D and SB, I should say, do not share the same property the C version does of having head involved. So you're only going to use SB-Zapper to anti-air people, not any of the other ones. The other ones do not have that same property. And I just remembered I didn't talk about SB Trap, but SB Trap is no different than regular traps. It's just for 25 meter. You get like almost no recovery, and you set 2 traps. You set 1 D and 1 C. So the nice thing about this move is, if you know anything about Yosuke, how he has a glide, yeah, Naoto gets that too. For 25 meter, Naoto can glide. She just retains her air momentum. So you can do cute shit with it, cute stuff, I should say. It's up to you how often you want to use SP Trap. SP Trap can save you from a lot of stuff. Particularly like an Aegis chasing you. Aegis players love just flying at you. You set an SP Trap at your feet, they just fly into you and they'll probably get hit. Anyway, carrying on. Now we're going to talk about her SP skill attacks. SP skill attacks are basically just her supers. So the first super I'm going to talk about is Let me make sure on hit. This one. You do this move both on the air and ground. This is her anti-shadow suppressant pistol alpha. Or anti-shadow SD pistol A. Like however you want to refer to it. Basically, this move is a projectile, 14 frame startup, then 2 after the flash. Has quite a bit of recovery. It's like over 100 frames. It's minus 14 on block. It's invul from frame 1 to 6. This move is one of her best starters, actually. It's 0 P1, 30 P2. It's actually fantastic to hit people. This has no SMP to it. Biggest thing about this move is that it silences. So I'm using S.Naoto right now, and as you can see, I'm mashing the C and D buttons. I cannot use my persona until it wears off. Now that it wore off, I get access to my persona. The other thing is, if you don't have access to your persona, in Naoto's case, she can't DP. Some characters can DP without their persona, but Naoto cannot, and Naoto cannot burst. So I'll use Shadow Naoto to silence regular Naoto, and I'm going to mash burst. Like, I'm trying to burst, and I'm just whiffing through. This is super important. Now I can burst. Like, that took a while before I got my burst. What's important about that is, for regular Naoto, she can do combos that don't let you burst. Like, all that after the super completed burst save, and they still don't have. Now they just recovered from having their persona sealed. So really scary. Really, really scary to get hit by that, because you might not even get a chance to escape that combo. Like, if you don't burst in time and you don't recognize that you could potentially die. Like, that was a very baby combo for 50 meter, and I did all that damage. So, scary. Very scary. And remember, that's Shadow Naoto. Shadow Naoto actually has significantly more health. A lower health character would have lost like 50 to 60% from that combo. But anyway. So that's the thing about the super. You can use it as a reversal, but it's unsafe. Biggest thing is it causes silence. Silence is really good against certain characters like Liz, Shadow Abbers, Naoto, Kanji. Like, characters that really rely on their persona get really screwed over by that super. Really strong. Next thing we're going to talk about is her anti-SSB pistol beta. It's her shotgun. Like, this is like her SMG. Oops. Shotgun. What this move does, it inflicts fear. Basically, any hit is a fatal counter. And when you have fear status set on you, you can't tech throws because everything's considered a counter hit. So throws she becomes a grappler, basically. You can't tech her throw. She gets combos off her throw as a result. I showed this earlier. You can do that, blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. The other thing is, this shotgun takes 6 fate points. That is terrifying. And that is a very critical aspect of this version of Naoto's game. And as a combo starter, shotgun is one of her best starters. Really good and this move is insanely invulnerable. Like, this move is invul from frames 1 to 55. Like, it is a viable reversal, except for the fact that it's very easy to avoid this attack, and the opponent can go right underneath you and hit you. So you should keep that in mind. It's pretty slow startup. It's 30 plus 10
frames startup. So you're not really gonna catch anyone with it. You can just get yourself out of situations, which is cool. Let's see. Next, we're gonna talk about her anti-shadow SB pistol SB. This move is one of the most broken supers in the game. Hands down, retarded broken. And the implementation of how they went about making this move is really funny because it's literally just they took her silent super and they stuck on her shotgun super, and now we have this atrocity. This move is ridiculous. Not only does this silence the opponent, not only are they silenced, they're also put in fear. And then you get like a safe jump setup, and so right now, the opponent cannot burst. They cannot use any of their persona attacks. In Naoto's case, she can't DP. She can't tech throws because she's feared. And if she gets hit, it's fatal counter starter. And she lost 6 fate points. Let that sink in. And this move is a great combo starter and amazing combo filler. Like, I will demonstrate what happens when you get hit by this. Like, just mid-combo, like, you can... Oops, I dropped it. Really baby combo that's just, like, ridiculous. If I can stop being bad. Wow. I'm really good. Alright, this should work. Okay, so... Right now, this move hit. So remember, they're silenced and feared. So anything I do after this, they can't burst. So I can dash up, get more combos, get more combo filler stuff in on her. That was all burst safe. I know she's a shadow and she can't burst, but if she was a regular character, that was all burst safe. After that move hit, that's pretty much it. So if the opponent was not ready to eat the 6k that I pretty much just did, because you have to remember I poisoned the opponent, so you should add like plus 500 damage to that. I did 6.3k for 125 meter, and more importantly, it was ridiculously burst safe. Like, this character, if you're not aware of her combo routes and what she can do with her resources, she can accidentally kill you before you have a chance to like realize you should have bursted. So she can kind of seal you away, not let you survive certain hits that other characters wouldn't be able to put you through. That SB pistol super is ridiculous. Easily one of the best supers in the game, and you should fear Naoto if she hits you with it. It's scary. Anyway, moving on. Next super we're going to talk about is her Hamon. Basically, this super is kind of whack. She's in Fatal Recovery. There's no invul to this. This move is plus 73 on block. So if the opponent does block this, you pretty much get free reign to do whatever you want to them. They're in so much block stun, they have to hold mix-up. So that's like a delayed air dash, delayed air dash again, empty low, do cool stuff like that. Now, this move is considered a projectile, so you can't roll it, but there's ways of making this move a tight block string. And there's setups, there's spacings where like you can do this move, and if you like, you can react to the opponent's roll and hit him for rolling. So there's really no good answer to this. In a lot of cases, like if it's spaced properly, like I might as well just talk about our SB version. So Regular Hamon doesn't track, it always like appears right in front of Naoto like that. But SB Hamon tracks the opponent. So from anywhere on the screen, you can basically just get in on the opponent. Really good move for that purpose. Really bad in combos. This move is essential for Shadow Naoto, though. I will demonstrate that a little later when I talk